Hello folks, Reginald Scott here and welcome to the video. Now, just wanted to make some predictions for 2023, what's going to happen to the cycling industry and cycling in general. Thank you very much for clicking on this video. I do hope you enjoy my predictions, whether they turn out to be true or not. I'll give it my best shot. Before I begin, just wanted to say Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays to everybody and a Happy New Year if you're watching this after the New Year. I'm really looking forward to the new year. I hope you managed to spend some time with your family and friends and doing the things you enjoy and love over the holiday period. I put on a lot of weight, not because I celebrate Christmas, because I don't, but simply because I've been unable to cycle for various different family and work related issues, and I have put on an extreme amount of weight. I've started to look like one of those YouTubers that says they're a cyclist but actually doesn't cycle. And I really need to sort that out. Currently I am 71.5 kg and my normal ideal race weight is like 68 kg, so I've really let myself go. Over a month without cycling. Today was my first day back on the bike though, so give me some motivation in the comments below, give me a bit of fat shaming, call me a lard ass, and I'll try and get rid of these man boobs and this front bum that I'm developing here, because I really need to. Anyway, apart from me gaining a great amount of weight, let's move on to the cycling predictions. So, number one is you're going to see a rise in the dominance of Chinese manufacturers, of course. Everybody's predicting this, and it definitely will happen. I don't think it's going to happen as quickly as some people are predicting, simply because that they're coming up during the time of economic downturn. So people have less money to spend. So people have less money to spend on luxuries and fripperies like fancy carbon wheels. Even if those carbon wheels are great value for money, people are going to avoid buying those things if they don't have the cash. So this is the worst time for some of these Chinese businesses to be coming up in the world. But at the same time, because they're offering good quality products at a cheaper price, they are going to be very competitive with the current plethora of Western manufacturers that we have that have been screwing us for years by giving us massively overinflated prices for their sometimes crappy products. I'm looking at you, Zip. Who today is going to spend 4K on a Zip wheel when they can get a wind space for $1,000? It doesn't make any sense, does it? Seeing as the Zips are even said to be slower as well, and sometimes the quality control is not all there as well. So that's definitely going to happen in 2023. What else is going to happen? We're going to see a lot of businesses go bust. I think we're going to see a lot of Western manufacturers go out of business for various different reasons. A lot of it is poor management. I think they've been making so much money out of us for years with massively overinflated bicycle prices. They're making these bike frames in China for less than $300 US. Then they're selling them to people like me, the shops, for several $1,000s, and then we're supposed to sell them to the customer for several $1,000s as well, make a bit of profit on the top. And then there's a lot of manufacturers who've been selling direct to customer, so they're making all the profits, and yet somehow they're going to be in financial trouble, according to a lot of what I've heard, just because the economy is going down. And it is serious. The economic downturn is going to be catastrophic. I think it's going to be the worst economic crash of my lifetime. I think it might even get to Great Depression levels. I think that's how bad things are going to be. So if you're not prepared for this, or you haven't made any preparations, I would seriously consider making some, because one of my predictions 2023 is going to be bad. It's going to be really bad. So that's definitely going to affect people's decision making when they come to buy bikes. I don't think it's going to affect the high-end bikes, the really high-end stuff. There's always going to be rich people out there who are willing to pay those crazy prices. And I think a lot of those high-end bikes from the big brands will continue to go up in price simply because of inflation. So you're not going to see your Pinarello F10s and whatnots, or Pinarello Fs, or whatever it is, whatever number they're on right now, or letter. You're not going to see those for like five quid. You're still going to see those for stupid money. The mid-range tier bikes, I think you're going to see a reduction in the choices there, because there's going to be less people who are at the $3,000 to $5,000 price range. There's going to be less interest in those kind of bikes. There's going to be more interest in cheaper bikes, both from Chinese manufacturers and from the mainstream manufacturers in the West. Hopefully there will be more options for cheaper bikes, but cheaper bikes aren't going to be cheap because disc brakes and because e-group sets, electronic group sets, they've made cheap bikes very expensive. You're going to see more demand for commuter bikes and things like that, reliable bikes, all-road bikes, maybe even gravel bikes, touring bikes, things that people can use as an alternative mode of transport to expensive, overpriced trains and expensive cars. Hard to maintain and expensive cars. Because when people are short on cash, they're going to find alternatives, right? So that is something to predict for 2023. You're going to see an upsurge in people riding cheaper bikes for other reasons than sport and pastime. You're going to see people going to work more on bike. But in general, I think the cycling economy is going to take a big hit. I think more people are going to stop riding. We're already seeing that happening now because it's the end of the event that cannot be named. And during that event, when everyone was on lockdown, you know, people needed to do something, so they all bought bicycles, and that was great for the industry. But now there's people, they can go to the gym now, they can go to the cinema, they can, you know, do whatever they want now to some extent. Their liberties are less curtailed by tyrannical governments, so they've stopped riding the bikes and they've stopped buying bicycle things, and I think they're going to stop buying bikes full stop. And what the company is going to need to do, they've already sold a lot of bikes to bike shops. Me, for example, I had to pre-order bikes for 2023 2 years ago, and luckily I saw the way the wind was blowing and I cancelled my orders. But a lot of bike shops didn't. So a lot of bike shops are going to end up with loads of stock that they ordered during the good times, the heyday, you know, when things were just flying off the shelf. They're going to get a load of stock that they can't sell, and it's going to ruin them, absolutely ruin them. You know, you're talking, I say bikes that are $5,000, you know, those kind of bikes, get a couple in the shop, you've already got 10 grand of investment there. Bike shops can't just sit on hundreds of thousands of pounds or hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of stock and not sell it. They can't afford to do that. So they've got two options: go out of business or sell it off cheap. They'll sell it off cheap as they can, and they might even make a loss. Some bike shops will go under as a result, and others will just scrape by. But yeah, there's going to be some bargains to pick up initially. That will end very quickly, however, when the bike shops stop ordering because they realize the mistake they've made. And a lot of big manufacturers are going to ramp down production anyway to get rid of the excessive bikes that they have. They no longer need this increased production because there's no longer the increased demand, the artificial increase in demand that the event that shall not be named caused. So that is one thing. I don't think the big manufacturers are going to be left carrying the bag full of excess stock. I think they're going to push that onto the bike shops that already made those orders. And I think the reason I believe this is because from my personal experience as a bike shop, a lot of manufacturers that used to do things like I would contact them for an order and order some stuff, and they would just send it to me because they had it in a warehouse. And that was wonderful because it meant I could get stuff straight away. And if I had one customer who needed like one saddle, I could just add it into my next order and get it within a couple of weeks. But now I have to pre-order everything months in advance because they don't make it until they have an order for it. They don't make it until you give them money, because they don't want to carry stock. They don't have the capacity for it anymore. That's not how their business model works anymore. So what you're going to see is big businesses winding down production. All that's going to get passed on to the bike shops. It's going to be their problem. And manufacturers aren't going to be left with a lot of stock lying around because they simply don't keep a lot of stock anymore. But they're going to ramp down production so that they don't end up doing that. And one thing that especially I can see happening in 2023 to begin with, and it's going to carry over into the next few years, is, manufacturers are going to stop producing certain things because they need to streamline their production lines, right? Right now, it's hell on earth for manufacturers. Take Shimano, for example. They're producing rim brake, mechanical group sets, like 5 different levels of that. They're producing disc brake mechanical group sets. They're producing disc brake electronic group sets. They were, up until recently, they still are producing electronic rim brake group sets, right? So they've got all these stupid group sets, all this mixture of parts, and it's costing them space, it's costing them production time, it's costing them resources, it's costing them research, it's costing them floor space, machinery, designing, all of that stuff, right? What they want to be doing is just selling disc, electronic. That's all they want to sell. And I think in 2023, you're going to start to see them really cut down on the rim brake stuff. It's already starting to happen. And on the mechanical side of things, you're going to get less and less options in those areas. And I even think some bike manufacturers are going to go in that direction as well. What you might see them doing is manufacturing high-end road bike frames where they are only compatible with electronic group sets and or disc brakes. So you literally won't be able to fit a mechanical group set to these bikes. One of the manufacturers I work for offers that as an option right now. You can have a electronic only frame and it doesn't come with holes in the frame to fit the cables. Okay, that's something they offer. I think in the future it's going to be something they only offer. They're going to stop doing it. And the reason why they want to do that is they want people to transition. They want to force as many people to transition as possible because they control you if they get you on disc brake electronic group sets, okay? Number one, disc brakes are way more complicated and take way more maintenance and have way more expensive parts. So they benefit there. Everybody benefits that's trying to take money out of you there. And the other side of it is it's even more insidious with the electronic group sets because eventually I think they'll work towards some kind of subscription system where all these e-group sets are going to be interlinked with our smartphones. They're all going to be controlled by satellites and people back at the main headquarters with computers, right? So off the top of my head, I can think of several ways they can get extra money out of us. One of those ways is that they'll offer like some kind of extended warranty scheme where they'll say, oh, you've got an e-group set, electronic group set, the warranty period's running out. Would you like to pay $5 a month to extend the warranty? You know, just keep paying the subscription fee. We'll keep supporting it with software updates, you know, because that sort of stuff is going to happen. Now it's linked with smartphones, you're going to get software updates. You might even have to pay for those software updates, right? And if you don't pay for the software updates, all of a sudden your your electronic group set stops working. And then it's going to be really expensive to fix it, okay? Or impossible. So they've got you by the balls, basically, if you climb on board with this stuff. The other thing is governments could get hold of it. I mean, one of the reasons why they kind of want us to move over to electronic cars is because it's a lot harder to keep a car running if it's an electric car if the government doesn't want you to. They can shut the power off. They can shut your car off because it's all linked now. They can hack into your car directly and turn it off. This has even happened in police chases. So the next big lockdown that they do when the draconian governments decide to take away your freedom again, not only are they going to be able to shut your car off, but they'll also be able to take your bicycle away from you by simply making it impossible to ride the thing. Shimano has even patented the electronic braking system. So, you know, disc brakes that are electric. So what they'll be able to do is turn off the power to your brakes and clamp them on. So you can't even push the bicycle. So there you go. That's what I think will happen eventually. If you say something against the government or if you don't pay your subscription fee to Shimano, they'll stop you from riding your $10,000 bicycle. So that is something I predict happening or starting to happen in 2023. As a result, again, your prices of second-hand goods is going to get boosted as a result of that because more people are going to want to get a hold of replacement parts of the bikes that they already have. So second-hand bikes are going to go up in price as well as a result of that. And that is pretty much it. Those are my predictions. So to sum up quickly, Chinese manufacturers are going to start to dominate. They're definitely going to come up in the world. They're going to come up a bit slower than they would have done if demand had continued, if the recession hadn't happened, but they're still going to do better than the Western manufacturers. The Western manufacturers are going to streamline production. They're going to get rid of all those other group sets that we know and love. They're going to push everybody to disc electronic. They're going to close down, ramp down production. They're going to pass off all this additional stock to bike shops who are going to get right royally screwed. Some big manufacturers are going to go under. A lot of smaller bike shops are going to go under. And people are going to be searching for second-hand bikes, cheaper bikes, more reliable bikes like metal bikes and things, and different kinds of bikes. But in general, I think less people are going to cycle. Certainly there's going to be less sports cyclists out there. Prices wise, low end stuff is going to steadily increase in price because demand is going to go up for the low end stuff. Mid-range stuff price is initially going to come down until they get control of supply and demand, and then I think it'll level off and maybe even go up because of inflation. And the top end stuff I think is going to stay expensive simply because there's always rich people out there to sell that stuff to. And if you reduce the price of your top end products, it makes it look like there's something wrong with it, or it's not as good as the previous generation, right? They couldn't possibly sell somebody, like when they bring out the, for example, Specialized, they brought out the S-Works Tarmac SL7, most expensive tarmac ever made, heaviest tarmac ever made, worst tarmac ever made, but you know, most expensive tarmac ever to come out. Do you really think the SL8 is going to be cheaper? For sure it won't be. For sure it will not be. They can't possibly make it cheaper because then people will say, so what are you telling me? The 7 was better? Or were you screwing me on the price of the 7? So they can't do it. They have to make the 8 more expensive. That's how their model, their economic model or their marketing model works now. And it's a bit like, if I can relate it to, you know, top end Gucci and Prada and, you know, all these like Dolce & Gabbana kind of handbags and things. There is at no point with those really high-end designer goods do they bring the prices down, even during economic crises, because there's always rich people who can just walk in there and buy all the handbags they want, doesn't matter. And if they were to bring the price down, those rich people would be put off and they would go to other brands which are raising their prices. And it's a psychological thing that it sometimes works and it sometimes doesn't. In business, you kind of learn it, which is, if you need to get rid of something, the initial thought is, oh, I'll reduce its price and people will buy it because it's cheap. But what sometimes happens is, if it's a decent product and if it's a product at a high price already and you significantly reduce the price, people think, oh, is nobody buying that then? Does nobody like that product because you reduced the price? Does that mean that product's not good? Does that mean there's something wrong with that product? I'm not buying it. You know, if you like take a $2,000 wheel and you slash it by 50%, people are like, is there something wrong with it? But if you raise the price 50%, people go, wow, those wheels must be amazing. Everybody must be buying them, right? Because the price is going up. I better get them now before it goes up again. So, you know, the big brand bike manufacturers, I think, are stuck in that kind of loop as well. They can't really lower their prices for some of their goods because they're luxury items. You know, they've made cycling, or top level road bike cycling, they've made it into a luxury thing. So those are my predictions 2023, as quickly as I can sum them up, really. Loads more videos coming in 2023. I will be discussing some of this stuff more in depth in 2023. We'll see what happens. We'll see if I'm right. We'll see if I'm wrong. I think I've given you all the information, all the predictions that I have. It's not good news for anyone, really. Not good for the manufacturers, not good for the bike shops, not good for the consumer, generally speaking. But in 2023, I'll be doing some videos on how you can save money cycling. Not just that, but how you can save money on cycling products and on your bike so that you don't have to outlay unnecessary amounts of cash for things that you don't need or that you can do yourself at home. Along with that is going to be some reviews and also some maintenance videos. I've got loads of stuff coming. I've got loads of ideas, and I'm hoping in 2023 I'm going to make more videos and be a bit more consistent about my videos as well. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you watching my videos. I thank you from the bottom of the heart. I really enjoy making these videos, and I'm really glad that you guys, you know, are willing to watch them. Stick in the comments below. What did I get right? What did I get wrong? Why am I stupid? Why am I clever? You know, all the stuff that usually people put in the comments. I read them all and I respond to them all, and I enjoy reading them all, even the nasty ones. Actually, I don't really mind. And as always, folks, when you're out riding, stay safe. Have a great year ahead.